So today I'm going to go back to my roots and do some nerdy Excel stuff. I have been holding off on doing this just because I'm not really sure why. But today I'm going to talk about COUNTIF. Well, COUNTIF and then a couple of other things. Removing duplicate data in a way to check your data for specific information. So in the industry that I work in, serial numbers are very important. So if you are looking at a list of data and you want to compare it, you've got a list of new data and you want to compare it to a list of known data, what's an easy way to do that? Well, you could do several different functions, but a COUNTIF is very, very quick. You just point it to a range, you point to your data piece, and you say, hey, how many of them are there? This is also a way to sanity check to see if you have any duplicates. There's a couple of other ways that we can do that as well. So what we're going to do is take a look at a data set that I made a while back. This was for my synthetic data, where I just did some random number generation to come up with some names and some addresses and use the most popular cities in the state of Georgia, and of course they're all in the state of Georgia, so that made it really easy. I expanded this range a bit because I'm a nerd, and I have 1,052 names here. I don't know how I came up with that. I just copy and pasted and recalculated, and it ended up being 1,052. So I've got 1,052 names here. One of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of the city names. I'm going to put them in a new sheet, and this is going to be used for my summary or my analysis, my ad hoc analysis. And I'm going to paste in the values. Or you can just paste them in. Doesn't matter. Now, I know there are going to be duplicates, and one of the ways that we can tell if there are duplicates is we can use conditional formatting. And under highlight cells and duplicate values. And conditional formatting is very, very helpful, and it's found on the Home tab. And you do duplicate values, and by default, it wants to light up in red. Well, everything on the screen lights up in red, so guess what? There's a duplicate. So I'm just going to hit cancel because we don't need to know that. I mean, we've done all the analysis we need to know there. But if I'm looking at my data set and I want to go, hey, how many people are living in on this data set are in Columbus or in Milledgeville or St. Mary's or Riverdale? What we can do initially is we're going to clean this data up a little bit first. And we'll go to the data tab, and oh, it's compressed. See if I can find it. There it is. There's an option for remove duplicates. If I scooch this out a little bit more, it's easier to read. Remove duplicates. And what it'll ask you is for a couple of options, depending on the amount of data that you have. What range do you want to remove the duplicates from? And in this case, it's going to be everything in column B. So column B is selected. I don't have any headers because I don't really care about that right now. And I'll click OK. And it removes it. Remove 937 duplicate values and leaves 115 uniques. All right, now that we have this cleaned up a little bit, we can make it pretty and we can sort it A to Z, just so we've got it in alphabetical order, and that looks like a list would look. So now we can use the COUNTIF, and this is, like I said, one of my sanity checks, and use this on a regular basis. And it is COUNTIF. And what you're going to do is point at the range. Typically I do a whole column. In this case, it's going to be on this spreadsheet, and it's going to be in column P. So I'm going to click on P. And you'll see that it lights up with the name and the sheet and then the range. And then put in a comma. And the next thing we're going to do is look for the criteria, which is in this cell right here. It says that there are 3. Now, a way that you can check your formula, you can hit F2, you can double click the cell, you can also hit the little FX up here for insert functions, and it'll show you a breakdown of the function. And I'm leaning in so I can read the screen. So it says range, and it tells you the range that we just discussed, and it says criteria is B2, which is that cell right there. Oops, and not plus B2. And it shows you the result. It doesn't give me any errors, which is good, so it says that I have 3 results. I'll click OK. What I can do now is I want to fill this down. I think there was 100 and almost 200 city options. Instead of copying and pasting it all the way down, which you can copy and you can paste. You can highlight it all, and you can paste. Yeah. No, that's right. I don't typically do that. I'm trying to talk to the microphone with the cameras up here. Or you can, I use keyboard shortcuts, so I can paste in formulas and number formats. Or what I like to do, it goes very, very quick. When you hover your mouse over the bottom right hand corner, there's a tiny little square right there. My cursor changes from a large plus sign, a very thick plus sign, to a very thin plus sign, which is just black with a larger one is white. And if I double click that, it will extend the formulas all the way down to the bottom of this range. It doesn't go beyond, it goes right to the bottom. And I have automatic recalculation turned off, so I'm going to hit F9 to recalculate, and there we go. So it counts the number of cities that we have. No, it counts the number of occurrences in our data set that we have for each of those cities. And this is just a quick way to do some analysis. Sorry, I'll get caught up in looking at the actual analysis. Let's see, something else that we could use the COUNTIF for is, let's say I'm looking for a person called Brittany Green. I don't know if she's in here or not, but I can put in COUNTIF, and then I can point at the range that's got the names and a comma, and then I can point to the cell that's got Brittany's name in it. And there is nobody named Brittany Green. How about Brittany Murphy? Nope. How about Watson? No, actually, let me go back. Recalculate, nope. Brittany Murphy. Recalculate, nope. And check one more. Like I said, I've got automatic calculations turned off, so I have to hit F9 to recalculate. Oh, look, and we got 2 Brittany Watsons. Now that's interesting. Why? Well, instead of it being Brittany Watson, it could be a serial number, it could be a phone number, it could be a social security number, it could be an employee ID, it could be an asset tag, it could be a license plate number, it could be any unique identifier. In this case, Brittany Watson is not as unique as one would hope or think, and that's fine, and it's perfectly acceptable to have more than 2 people with the same name. It's actually not an uncommon occurrence. Depending on how the data was broken out, we could also do, we could use COUNTIF. We looked at cities. We could also look at the street names. We could break it out so that we knew what block they were on. So these are 4,000 series numbers. We could look at everybody that's on Smith Road if there's more than one person listed on Smith Road, and determine how close together these live. If these are customer numbers or customer data sets, for example, it might be interesting to see how closely together, can't see my hands, how closely together your customers live. If this is non-address information, if it's dealing with something, going back to serial numbers, and it's something hardware related, if it's a machine, if it's a computer, if it's a car, if it's a keyboard, or a mouse, just because I have those things in front of me, or a screwdriver. You might not have location information like this, but you may have other metadata that you could break apart and then determine relationships between the data that you have. Okay, so I went really nerdy really quick. So the big thing here is COUNTIF. If you're looking through a large data set, and this is only 1,000 rows, but we're looking for particular information. In this case, it was Brittany Watson. Okay, so somewhere in there I screwed up my data set. It's been several months of it since I've even touched that. So I went in and removed it, did a bunch of new calculations, and I now have 7,017 records. The cities are pulling from a list to randomly calculate to populate, so they're not going to change, just the quantities are going to change. I haven't recalculated the city count, so let's see if this works. Fingers crossed. There we go. All right, this time we only have one Brittany Watson, because the last time I think Brittany Watson was actually a duplicate. Let's see. Other information that we were looking for names, we were looking for streets. One of the things that I like to do is to use conditional formatting, like I've already mentioned, and I can highlight these two and look, do highlight cells and then come to duplicate values and just leave it at the default red. And we can see that we have a couple. We don't know how many that we have though. So I'm going to take a couple of these names and I'm going to select multiples by holding Control and shifting. So I'm going to take these guys and just copy those, doing it with the keyboard. And I'm going to paste in the values over here. And then I'm going to use my COUNTIF. I will redo my COUNTIF. So I'm going to say COUNTIF. And then my range is going to be the end column. And I keep pointing to my screen. You can't see it over here. Got to point to the end column. Hit comma. And then point to the name that I want to look up. And this is going to be my criteria. All right, so, ooh, look at that. I'll pull this down, then I'll hit F9 to recalculate. And we can see that we've got a couple of duplicates. We've got, 3 Natalie Phillips and Julie Kings. And so out of the, I think it's 100 first names and 100 or 250 last names, probably more first names than last names. With the synthetic data, we did end up with some duplication. Again, if you're not looking at it for the names, so if you're looking at it for the data, I was looking for a thing called a Teresa Clark, and I found 3 of them in my data set, which is really good. I was hoping to have at least 1, but I did find 3, so that's good. So if you're looking at an inventory list, if you're looking at, again, customer records, if you're looking at a variety of data that has some sort of unique identifier, like a name or an address or city, not so much, that's a much larger category. Addresses are very, very specific. Phone numbers are very specific. When you combine a phone number with an address, you can have multiple phone numbers at a single address. So that creates an even more unique identifier, and you can do that by concatenating or combining the phone number and the address together. So if you have multiple people living at a house, it's possible to create super unique identifiers without doing something as drastic as using personally identifiable information, PII, and using social security numbers. So you can do a lot of data mining. Great. I'm encouraging you to data mine, but I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about just data sets, and this happens to be a nice random way for me to do it without getting too nerdy and talking about CD SKUs or what's it called? The unique identifier on the back of the book, whose name escapes me at the moment. So this was just easy for me to pull together, and I've done something like this before for a couple of other projects, and it's really fun. Again, I nerd out on things, so if I can create 7,000 people that don't exist and 7,000 unique addresses, and the addresses are going to be much more unique in this case because the street number is recalculating and the street name is recalculating. Let me look. I don't remember if I'm recalculating the... Okay, so it's pulling the whole street name. It's not coming up with the name of the street and then doing street, road, boulevard. I don't think. Nope, it's doing the full thing. Okay, but you can create a lot of very unique data by doing multiple calculations and then combining that information together. Circuitous. That was a very circular set of conversation with myself, because I'll have about 20 people watch this, maybe only the first 5 minutes. I hope this was slightly helpful, and in my new format, you can see me while I talk nerdy stuff on the screen. So, enjoy. I hope this helped. See ya. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Too many hobbies, not enough time.
It's a theme song, y'all.